My grandpa would never go in his attic, would never tell us why. Me and siblings grew up not really questioning it. All of us just knew that Pop wouldn't go in the attic. Whenever he needed something from it, we'd go get it for him. Totally normal attic. Never got any spooky vibes from it. Years later, Grandpa dies. Died peacefully in his sleep. I go stay with my grandma to keep her company. One night we're up late talking about old memories. I bring up the attic in a story. Grandma gets really quiet. Ask if anyone ever talked to me about why he wouldn't go up there. Nope.jpg. She tells me that when they first moved into the house, Pop couldn't sleep. He said something about the house just didn't feel right. He paced all night like he was crazy. Went over every inch of the house with a fine-tooth comb. Grandma is really worried but doesn't say anything. One night he goes up into the attic. She hears him start screaming. She sprints up to the attic and finds him curled up in a ball. He's sobbing. Grandma asks him what happened. He looks up to her and tells her he figured it out. He points to where the eaves of the roof narrow down towards the far end. She looks. There's nothing there. Then she looks closer and sees something she can't really describe or explain. All she could compare it to was origami. It was like space was folding up on itself. The angles were all wrong. She said when she looked at it, she could feel herself going crazy, like something inside her was melting. She drags Pop down the stairs and puts him to bed. He sleeps for 2 days. When he wakes up, he says he'll never go up into the attic again as long as he lives. Never says another word about it. Ignores Grandma when she brings it up. Grandma goes quiet and I don't say anything. We moved on to other stuff and she hasn't brought it up again since. Turns out most of my family knows. That part of the attic has always been blocked with a huge bureau. Now I know why. I go for a walk almost every day at this park by my house. Done it for years. There's a bayou that runs along a portion of the track. Across the bayou are these apartments for lower income folks. Working class, but started to see shadier characters there over the years. A couple of years back, I began to find dead animals off the side of the track near the bayou by the apartments. At first, I thought it was just a coincidence, but after the first two, I started to take pictures because I realized they were odd. I only have one, by the way, if you want to see it. The animals were usually squirrels and frogs, and they were always the same. Eyes apparently removed, might have been eaten though, and grass shoved down their throats. Weird symbols, always spray painted nearby. Never connected this to the shady characters I started seeing until one day I took a different route into town because I stopped for gas. So I cut through a little neighborhood I never drove through. Neighborhood is very secluded because it's maze-like and in a bad part of town. Surprised to find a dead dog off the side of the road. No eyes. Looks like grass sticking out of its throat. The stop sign is totally painted over in black. Same symbols that I always saw next to the dead frogs/squirrels is painted over it. Across from it is a giant wooden fence. Same symbol spray painted over that as well. Spot dead frogs and squirrels in random spots as I drive. Nope, the fuck out of there. Any ideas about this? Pretty sure it's gang activity, but part of me wonders if it isn't some fucking cult taking over my town. I used to know what you might call that kid in middle school. He always smelled like he shit himself and wore the same clothes for weeks on end. That is, his wardrobe consisted exclusively of real run-of-the-mill generic pajamas. The kind where it's a completely solid color. The shirt buttons up, and has a pocket for some reason, and there's a matching pair of pants. He wore that to school, and he wouldn't take the fuckers off until they were fucking made of stains and smelled so bad that he actually noticed. He was your typical chubby, long-haired, greasy neckbeard, except it was the 7th grade and he couldn't grow facial hair. Actually, that's not entirely true. He grew a really fucking weird thin mustache that was composed of only the barest number of hairs, but his upper lip always looked wet, so you couldn't help but notice that it was there. Anyways, he liked to bill himself as a video programmer. The truth was he could only program terrible ass text adventures in Visual Basic, and it was a damn miracle if they last more than 3 minutes and weren't easy as shit. He brought these fucking retarded games into school every other week, burned to blank CD-ROMs, and he'd ask everyone to play them in the computer lab. They were always really retarded, your completely predictable wake up in a dark cell or an alien spaceship or in a forest kind of deal, except for one he brought in that was different. That's not to say it was actually good or even really an actual fucking game, to be frank, just that it stood out among his other releases. This one he called Happy Mommy, and I'm the sorry sack of shit he insisted play it. It started out in the usual command prompt window his games always had, with the pointless ass beginning text asking me to type go to begin the game, except this time when I typed go, it didn't start out in typical text adventure style telling me I woke up somewhere and there's a useful item in the room in 4 directions. This time it started out saying Happy, happy mommy, 1 day gone. Just like that, in all lowercase. As was standard fare in this fucking weirdo's dumbass games, I wasn't really sure what the fuck to do at this point, so I asked him and he told me to type in mommy. So that's what I did and it returned. Happy, happy mommy, 2 day gone. Again, just like that, the S missing after day and everything. I didn't really know what else to do, so I typed in mommy again. This time I got happy, happy mommy, 3 day gone. Now, I tried to type mommy again, but it didn't work this time. So I asked him what the hell I'm supposed to do now, and he said to type feel good. So I did, and I got happy, happy mommy, 4 day gone. Happy mommy, feel good. Happy mommy, feel good. And then it just closed itself. I went on with the rest of my day completely fucking confused at what the shit he made me play. He came to school the next day, and that is the last time I ever saw him. Really spooky ending, I guess. The whole class was obviously wondering what happened to him, and all the teachers made it seem real mysterious and creepy because they were real insistent that we didn't talk fucking about it. No one found out what the hell happened for the rest of our entire school. From 8th grade to high school graduation, outside of the obvious bullshit rumors. Years later, long after I was a grown adult, I came back into contact with one of my middle school teachers and we chatted up a bit about the good old days and all the retarded assholes that went to my middle school. I guess because I was an adult, he felt more comfortable around me, even if he was still way older than me. So I asked him what the hell ever happened to that kid. Now, this next part I swear to God is not made up. Apparently, over the week before he disappeared, this kid's mom had fucking hanged herself. And since he was an only child and she was raising him on her own, and no one in their neighborhood really knew them, no one fucking knew about it. and the kid just kept going to school and coming home to her corpse for 5 days before someone took notice of this and looked into it. I was never actually told what happened to him after Child Protective Services took him away, and I'm not sure anyone knows. B19, driving home from girlfriend's house on a lonely back roads. See dude on roadside ahead, yellow shirt and white pants, baseball uniform. Same colors as my old Little League team. Get a little closer, slow down a little, recognize the dude. Dude died in a car wreck 2 months earlier. Just standing there, staring into the distance. Freak out and speed back up. Check rear view, gone. Look back, still there. Standing in the road now, facing me. Look ahead, back again, gone. Once I got home and calmed down, I realized that I was seeing him as a combination of my old memories. How he'd last look and how I best remembered him. We weren't good friends, and most of my memories of him were from Little League. And yes, I later learned that where I saw him was where he died. Worked boring pizza jobs and a warehouse job, top wage keck in the city. Late at night driving to a delivery one night and get cut off by a massive Windigo looking creature with arms and legs extended as hell and the body mass 3 times the size of the moose. Then the images draw, but you can clearly tell it was The Walking Dead and smelled horrible. Panic and drive fast to the delivery and stay in my car for nearly 5 minutes before even attempting to get out of the car. Walked up to the door with piss stains on my pants and got right back into the car and went home for the night. Trekking in the woods up at my uncle's cabin in northern PA. Dicking around in the woods early in the afternoon with a high-point carbine. Start to get real deep in the woods to a spot I'm unfamiliar with. Come across a strange concrete pond in the middle of the woods, miles from the nearest trail. It's filled with this murky brown water. I'd liken it to mixing coffee and milk, but whiter than it was brown. Water is perfectly still despite being slightly windy, like not even a damn ripple. Suddenly realize everything around me is silent. No wildlife, not even the wind through the trees. Start to get unnerved by how bizarre a concrete structure in the middle of the woods with the nearest road a good 2-hour hike. Disregard strange feeling and continue walking around it. Looks almost like a swimming pool with those curved pipe ladders sticking out of one of the sides. More like the ladder leading down into a sewer. Get closer to it and suddenly hear loud whispering coming from the direction of the middle of the water. Not loud enough to determine individual words, but definitely loud enough to know it was talking. Have the worst feeling something is about to come crawling out of the water, so I just take off sprinting back the way I came. I reach the trail and head back to the cabin. Tell my uncle about it. Tomorrow, we go back to the exact spot I left the trail and search for 2 hours in the direction I came from and found nothing. That was the worst part. That place should have fucking been there, but we searched and searched but couldn't find anything. This was in fall too, so everything nearby, with the exception of the pine trees, were pretty much dead. I remember it being fall because there was so many brown leaves all over the ground and leading up to the edge of the water. It was very cold and very damp. Be me, 2019. Find drain tunnel near friend's house. Try to explore. Get in maybe 100 feet before it's pitch black. Go to friend's house. Hey bro, wanna come explore this cool drain with me? Sorry, Anon. I'm scared by this kind of thing. You can have my headlamp though. Thanks bro. See ya. Return to tunnel. Sun is setting. Head inside. Observe surroundings. The deeper into the tunnel, the older the graffiti on the walls. Mostly from the 70s and having to do with weed and sex. My face when boomers got high and fucked where I'm standing. Try to ignore that fact and keep moving. Walk for 10 more minutes. Long fucking tunnel.png. Notice walls have been barren for the past 3 minutes. Keep walking. More graffiti comes into view. It looks pretty creepy. Probably tagged by some edgy kids 30 years ago to scare people. Don't think too much of it. Been walking for 30 minutes now, should probably head back. Walk back. Get to a wall. The wall is blocking what would have been the entrance/exit. Made of concrete. Looks like it's been there for decades. No possible way I could have made a wrong turn. It's all one tube. Trapped in the tunnel. Have to head back down to find a way out. Son of a bitch.jpg. Turn around, start walking. Walk until the occult symbols again. Hear something behind me. Pick related. Hear multiple appendages/legs splashing around. Clear, light breathing coming from it. Take picture because I had my phone out trying to get service. It blinks after I take the picture. Lurches forward. Do a 180 and make tracks. Sprint for a good 10 minutes. Muscles dying, lungs burning, throat dry as the Sahara. Eventually see outlet. Sweetfreedom.move. Escape the tunnel. Collapses into a puddle of stagnant water and tadpoles. Walk to friend's house, cold, wet, and tired. Never go back. Reverse image search. Multiple reverse image search sites. No hits. July 25th, 2020. Ljubljana. Having a drink with wife and friends by the river near the Dragon Bridge. At around 11 p.m. we decide to return home. Stop by the traffic lights right by the Dragon Bridge. Wife, who's a hardcore scully in the relationship, tells me, "Anon, what are those lights?" Immediately, I look up, as well maybe 9 other people waiting to cross the road. 2 large, wobbling white lights coming from the city castle. They shine a very bright cone of white light randomly in all directions as they float by. Altitude of about 100 to 150 meters. Completely silent. No wind or noise. Everybody at the crossing is dumbfounded by these, including me. Tell myself I'm looking at a UFO right now. Damn yes. The light changes to green and I step out of the feeling of awe. Take out my phone, shitty Pixel 2, and I start recording maybe 10 to 15 seconds after they pass over us. The lights are already flying over some buildings, so I try to follow the road home while finding a crack between the buildings to record them. Look back and everybody's still looking out for them at the crossing. Cycle down the road, parallel to the river, while recording. People by the river are standing up looking at the lights as they go up and up. They eventually fly higher than a passenger plane that passes by and disappear into the sky. Vid related. My buddy who's into drones says they're probably drones, but really? 11 p.m. During the pandemic. Ljubljana, of all places. Had it been fucking Shanghai or Berlin? Maybe, but not this town. Plus a drone that could shine lights so bright like that. Imagine stadium lights, Desu. Would have to be expensive. And fly it up to space? A few weeks ago, my wife saw similar lights flying around a nuclear reactor. While she was driving in the evening, 9 p.m., could have been aircraft since there's an airfield nearby, and she agrees. But they moved very quickly in all directions, unlike helicopters. which we see from our balcony every day when they land at the hospital.